God made the human body to be an extremely powerful, well-tuned physical engine, yet it needs fuel to run. We call this fuel food. God gave us the desire to eat or hunger so that our bodies would have fuel. Food fulfills our hunger and gives us energy, keeping life in balance with the natural world. Why then would someone decide to deny themselves? In the current era, it is embedded in us to eat 3 times a day. We hear it all the time: a full breakfast is the starting point of the day. Consume food to build strength. In order to be strong, we were told at school to eat 3 full meals a day and exercise. Why therefore skip meals? Dieting is the term for not eating, which is frequently done for health or weight loss purposes. Yet, some people skip meals for religious reasons. The Bible refers to this as fasting. Usually a fast is kept for a set amount of time in order to fulfill a spiritual obligation. The Jewish faithful were obligated to fast once a year, Leviticus 16:29. And in the 7th month, this will become a permanent statute for you. Since this fast was kept on the Day of Atonement, you are all required to suffer spiritually and refrain from working on the 10th day of the month, whether you are a citizen of your own nation or a foreigner among you. The Yom Kippur fast is the name for it. The expression refers to an atonement day. On the Day of Atonement, once a year, God commanded his people to fast. Everybody abstained from food. Why is everyone doing this? Because God wanted everyone to never forget the serious moment of their salvation. The high priest entered the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement and offered the blood of an animal to atone for everyone's sins, Leviticus 16:24. And in the holy place he will wash his flesh with water, put on his clothes, and then go forth and give both his own and the people's burnt offerings, making atonement for both. Because the nation's sins were addressed on the Day of Atonement. To show their support for the high priest, who offered a lamb as a sacrifice to atone for everyone's sins, everyone fasted. When you fast, Jesus taught his disciples, Matthew 6 verses 16-18. The hypocrites mutilate their faces to make themselves appear more serious when you don't look that way. They are fasting from food. They have indeed gotten their full recompense, I assure you. However, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that only your Father, who is unseen and witnesses what is done in secret, will know that you are fasting and will reward you. Give up all food, necessary and enjoyable, and you will be seen by God. Jesus cautioned us not to show off our fasting even back then. Jesus warned his followers against fasting for praise from others. It is clear from his statement that every time you fast that he views fasting as a valid spiritual practice. Fasting is the temporary giving up of a physical craving, usually food, in lieu of a spiritual necessity. You give up food in order to spend time in private prayer, asking God to intervene on your behalf. But if your intention in going without food is to gain attention from others for how spiritual you seem, then your reward for your fasting concerns will be their acceptance. The thought of going without meals for any length of time is perhaps intimidating if you have never fasted before. We are wired to eat 3 times a day, therefore people are worried about a lot of different things. Many people are concerned about whether they may experience pain during their hunger pangs. Some worry about things other than whether they can survive or if they want to go on a journey. They can't be finished. What happens if you see a TV ad claiming that a chocolate bar will help you avoid the afternoon lack of energy? Others fear that if they fast, their friends would think less of them. If my friends find out that I'm fasting, would they think I'm weird? The answer is easy to understand. You don't fast to win your friends over, and as was already noted, you don't even normally inform them. Jesus said that if you fast, you should anoint your head and wash your face. This way, only your invisible Father, who knows everything you do in secret, will know that you are fasting and will reward you publicly. Matthew verses 17 and 18, chapter 6. Jesus was telling us that fasting is a private commitment between you and God, not something you should display publicly. You can fast in secret and keep it a secret from others. At other times, you may choose to fast in public to confront an issue, either by yourself or with another person or your church. Every year in May, Esther calls on all Jewish believers to fast in order to receive divine intervention. Ezra fasted along with 4,000 other people. Christians are welcome to take part in the National Fasting and Prayer Day. What does fasting involve? Dieting and fasting are not the same thing. It's also not about giving up eating for health-related reasons. Fasting for spiritual purposes can take many different forms, and there are numerous justifications for combining fasting with prayer. Anyone can become a prayer warrior for God and increase their spiritual fitness by practicing the biblical discipline of fasting. Some people think that discipline is unnecessary for Christians. Nonetheless, we strengthen ourselves by spiritual practices. We have to never forget that we are Christ's soldiers. A competent soldier is multidisciplinary in their skill set. One of the many disciplines of a Christian is fasting. Jesus warned his disciples that Satan will oppose them if they pray for other people, for your church, or for other people to be saved. Fasting is physically and spiritually taxing, much like ascending a mountain. Start this journey knowing exactly what you are doing, and that, although the road ahead may be difficult, the payoff will be enormous. If this is your first time fasting, start modest. Your initial act of faith, though it may seem insignificant to others, will be a significant step for you, and God will recognize it. God is also concerned with how your heart feels when you fast. Your mindset plays a critical role in your fast. Similar like when a man asks a woman to marry him, the sincerity of his proposal determines whether or not she accepts. Therefore, don't fret about how long your fast should last when you first start. Just make sure that you have a healthy relationship with God. Since God is all-knowing, the sincerity of your prayers is more important to him than their duration. Therefore, begin your fasting journey by missing one meal if you have never done so before. Jews were obligated in the Old Testament to observe a one-day fast on Yom Kippur. The Jewish calendar had a day that started at sunset one year and concluded at sunset the next. The Jews learned to calculate their days from God. Thus, the first 2 days were the evening and the morning. Plan to begin your fast at sundown, or perhaps even earlier, in accordance with Genesis 1:5-6. This implies that you will forgo your typical evening meal, followed by your breakfast and lunch. Most Jews break their fast the following day after the sun sets by having a regular meal and fasting with someone. Even nevertheless, the cornerstones of all intercession are personal prayer and fasting. If you've never gone along this route previously, it can be best to begin your fasting journey in the company of another person. Ask someone to join you in your fast and prayer. If you are fasting for a particular answer to your prayers, there is power in numbers. According to Matthew 18:19, Jesus stated, "I promise you that everything you bind here on earth will also be bound there, and everything you loose here will also be released there." Once more, I genuinely tell you that my Father in heaven will grant any request that two of you on earth agree upon. These passages mention more than just prayer. They also discuss the promises we make to one another. Consider it in this manner. A vacation that is planned in tandem with someone else is more memorable. You will most likely love your vacation better when you share it with someone else if you plan a dream and share experiences together. This also applies to fasting. Your prayers are probably going to be more focused when you fast with someone else if you share the experience of doing so. But it also offers other advantages. You have someone with whom to share your uncertainties, concerns, and worries. The strength of another person might help you get over your fear of fasting. You can always give each other a call to see how things are going and to offer suggestions. You might get the inspiration to press on from this phone conversation. To remember the celebration. You are only proving something to yourself when you ascend a mountain by yourself, and you own the win. However, you have a large group of people to rejoice with when you climb with others. After you've reached the summit, you give a victory dance, give each other a hug, and head back to tell everyone about it. Together, you may celebrate breaking the fast. The flavor of victory is enhanced by their mere presence together. Fasting with a friend also creates accountability, which is another benefit. You won't feel as tempted to break your fast or have a snack. Perhaps you have previously run or walked for health with a friend if you are aware that they are aware of your fast. If so, you are aware of the ways in which a partner may support your commitment. When circumstances are difficult, you may be strong enough to handle accountability without assistance. but it can be advantageous if you're not partnering with someone who is in the same situation as you. When you're getting ready to fast, dig deep into your heart to find the purpose of your fast. We'll talk about the many justifications for fasting. You may already know why no other Israeli soldier dared to face the giant when young David faced Goliath. They each provided David a different justification for avoiding the fight, in addition to their refusal to take on Goliath. Still, David was unaffected. He was fighting that specific giant for a very good reason. It goes beyond merely fasting and praying. There is a reason we fasted. Are you prepared to abstain from food and enjoy yourself less? Create a list of your causes and put them in writing so you may examine them for yourself. A cause may become hazy or unclear if you retain it solely in your thoughts. Although you may already know in general why you should fast right now, spend some time to put your arguments in writing. Your focus will improve as a result. Everything shouldn't come into your life carelessly or casually if there is a set plan in place. Make a successful plan. If not, failure is likely to occur. Avoid taking part in a fast. Simply to test your limits. Until I become hungry, I'll try. Regarding fasting, some people have said that they give up at the first hint of discomfort and firmly resolve to fast for a day, no matter what. You've gone from considering fasting and desiring a more spiritual lifestyle to actually committing to seeking God for your cause. You are committed to fasts, including the total fast, in reliance on God's grace and assistance. During this fast, you must abstain from all food and liquids. After being blinded by the sight of the Lord Jesus on the way to Damascus, Paul observed this kind of fast for 3 days. For 3 days he was blind and did not eat or drink. Verse 9 of chapter 9 of Acts. Don't try the extreme fast on your first fast. This is not a standard fast, rather, it is meant for people who are extremely upset or who are fasting to address a serious issue, such recovery from addiction or defense against a spiritual foe. You only consume liquids during this fast and refrain from eating any solid meals. The Bible most frequently uses the term fast to describe persons who abstain from eating solid meals. In those days, the topic of consuming liquids is frequently avoided. By the conclusion of them, Jesus had not eaten anything and was feeling peckish. There is no reference to Jesus drinking liquids in Luke 4:24. What do people drink on a fast? Many give up enjoyable beverages like soda and different fruit juices. This fits with how they are described as afflicting themselves in the Old Testament. And fasting the partial fast, Isaiah 58:3 verse 3. You get rid of some liquids and solids during this fast, but not all of them, because he refused to eat from the king's table. This is also known as the Daniel fast. However, emphasized in Daniel 1:12, please test your servants for 10 days. During the fast, please just provide us with veggies to eat and water to drink. Didn't hurt Daniel or his companions later on. Daniel embodied the essence of the intermittent fast. I refrained from eating any meat or alcohol, touched my lips, or applied any lotions until the 3 weeks were up. According to Daniel 1:0:3. This is only partially fast. Explains what Daniel did not do. First, delicious delicacies like our cakes or donuts. Dessert quickly. The second is meatless diet devoid of meat. Thirdly, wine or anything enjoyable or joyful is recommended. The great Methodist movement was founded and led by John Wesley. Every 2 or 3 months, in order to prepare them spiritually for the conference, John Wesley summoned all of his circuit preachers to the new chapel, or to London. Before every gathering, Wesley fasted for 10 days, eating nothing except water and natural whole grain bread. At these gatherings, Wesley fasted and prayed for spiritual strength to impact his ministries. There's no denying that these Methodist preachers came away from the conference determined to make a difference in the world. The world's greatest Protestant denomination was founded by these preachers, a manifestation of God's appreciation for Wesley's commitment to fasting and prayer. The rotating fast is mostly used for medical grounds, particularly to identify a person's response or allergy to particular food categories. Hence, it is rarely employed in Christian circles to make their system clean. Usually, the patient fasts for 1 day, either regularly or completely. After that, just one new food category is offered and ingested every day for 6 days. By switching between the 6 food groups, This method of removal and exclusion helps identify the food that is causing an individual's health issue. Selecting a fast when getting ready to fast. When choosing the best course of action for you, take into account a number of aspects, including your unique scenario. Here are a few concepts. The previously mentioned factor of first-time fasting. For those who are new to fasting, I suggest beginning with the one-day Yom Kippur fast. If you want to fast longer in order to deal with a persistent or significant problem, it might be better to start with a 3-day fast and then fast 1 day a week for 3 weeks. If this is your first time fasting, keep in mind that you are starting a new adventure. You are acquiring new attitudes and abilities for your body and soul, so proceed with caution. Your first fast ought to be a typical fast, during which you should just drink liquids and eat nothing for a single day. Your body will get more adept at not reacting negatively with this practice. Try to match the purpose of your fast to the type of fast if you have later eliminated the matching criteria for both food and liquids. For a standard request, go with a regular fast. For a more serious issue, select a fast with stricter restrictions. Component of comfort. You should be comfortable with the length and style of the fast. Naturally, while determining what to omit. You shouldn't question your abilities or feel bad about yourself when you pray. Select a fasting method that enables you to feel confident in your choice. It's a factor of timing. Your decision to fast or how long you fast depends on a number of things. Consider your weekly routine and the days of the week that are not appropriate for fasting. What particular occasion when fasting is not advised is appropriate? Never begin a long fast with Thanksgiving, Christmas, weddings, or any other occasion where you are unsure of how your body will respond or feel emotionally. Any one-day fast, even the first one you choose, is quite doable in 1 day. Remember that this is a bold leap of faith. God will reward you according to what He sees in your heart. Hail, may God give us the discernment to see the spiritual significance and advantages of fasting, reminding us that seeking a deeper relationship via prayer and having an honest heart are what draw us closer to Him rather than just giving up eating. May we fast not so much to be seen by others as to be seen by God, who sees in private and rewards freely. We give thanks to the Lord for the discipline and power that fasting gives us, which helps us rely less on ourselves and more on Him. Indeed. If you found this information useful, I kindly ask that you support us by subscribing so that you don't miss any of our next videos together. We can increase awareness and broaden our horizons. May God bless you, and I thank you for being here.